I just got off my shift working in the NICU. Overnights can be brutal. But last month, there have been these twins. Fighters, you know? They were born 3 months early. 2 pounds. 2 pounds, 4 ounces. I mean, you can hold them in the palm of your hand, you know, and you know, their lungs, when they come out that early, they're not developed enough, so they have trouble breathing on their own, and all sorts of other issues come up. And I mean, babies, you know, I work with babies. I've worked with babies for years, and they all got personalities, you know, even from the beginning. You know, you talk to mothers and they'll tell you, well, this one, when he was in my womb, you know, they don't say that, but when he was in my stomach or whatever, you know, he felt like this, and then when my daughter was there, like, she felt completely different, or when my other son was there. You know, moms know this, but you see this, you know, as a nurse, and it's always amazing. You think about nurture versus nature, and you think, well, I mean, there has to be a good deal of nature, because these babies have never seen 2 babies fight so hard, you know, and usually when they're so tiny, it's like they don't have energy for personality, you know. Like Caleb and Ryan. It's been so amazing to watch them over the last month, just getting stronger, and you know, their parents are super excited, of course, because, you know, she wasn't, I mean, of course, super panicky, right, when they're born that early. And you know, and it's funny, because Kathy, that's their mom, she asks me, she says, you know, so are you married? I mean, you spend a lot of time, you know, women, we like to ask and find out about each other's lives, and she's like, you know, so are you married? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, well, you guys have any kids? And I'm like, no, you know. I mean, I'm not going to get into it with her, because, you know, she doesn't need to know that much about my life, and I'm sure she doesn't even want to know that much about my life, but you know, I can't have kids. You know, and what's funny is when we first got married, Brian and I, we decided we didn't want kids. We said, you know, we don't need to contribute children to the world. There are plenty of people contributing plenty of children. You know, no, we're just gonna be footloose and fancy-free for our married life, you know, go off on weekends, and we do that. I mean, there are couples who say that and then they don't even do it, but we actually do. And so, you know, I mean, he almost had a vasectomy. And they were like, well, that's really serious, and I said, you know, I'll just get an IUD, and we'll just leave it at that, you know, we'll just, and so, first 5 years of our marriage, exactly how we planned it, you know, and, 5 years comes and goes, and we're still happy, still in love. I work with babies all the time, and I think, oh, I'm not gonna need a baby of my own. I pretty much have, like, multiple babies of my own. I mean, they're not mine. I don't take them home, but, you know. And then, several years back, you know, I'm helping Tracy, this woman, and Tracy is a client of mine, patient. I'm a nurse midwife, and so I'm helping her with her delivery. And there's something so effervescent about her. And she starts really talking about how amazing it is to have this being growing inside of you. And I mean, you know, I know all the physiology of it. I know what happens. I know all that. And I've heard other women talk about it, but for some reason the way that she said it wasn't like anybody else had ever talked about it. Wow. And it's like it ignited this little fire all of a sudden, you know, this little small seed of questioning. And so I say to Brian, hey, you still don't want kids, right? And he sort of looks at me, why do you ask that, you know? And I'm like, I'm just curious. And he's like, come on, what's going on? And I tell him. He's like, so you think this is just a passing? So we talk about it, you know, and we decide we're in a different place. And I don't know that he's as interested as I am, but he's like, let's give it a go. And, you know, at that point, I mean, I'm only 30 at the time, you know, so we're like, well, it shouldn't be a problem. I'm healthy, you know, I eat well, and we try. I mean, first it's fun. He's like, woo, you know, excuse for sex. Not that we ever needed one, but, so we try for a year and nothing. I just think that's just weird. You know, my mom, my sisters, they've all gotten pregnant, no problem. But here I am. Nothing's happening. And so, I go into my doctor, and he's like, well, you know, sometimes if you're trying, it puts this sort of subconscious stress on everything. Maybe just relax a little bit, you know. Come back in 6 months, and we'll talk then if you're not pregnant. And I get pregnant. We're super excited suddenly. I mean, we've gone from this sort of 180 being, you know, no kids, and then, yes, we're gonna have kids, and now I'm pregnant, and it's really exciting. And you know, I don't even make the first trimester. But it's, you know, hey, miscarriages happen for a reason. It's because something's wrong with the fetus. You know, it's not a viable fetus. So it takes a little while to recover. And it takes another 6 months to get pregnant again. We're super excited. I go to my second doctor visit. Brian comes with. He takes time off work to come. And we go to listen to the baby's heartbeat for the second time. We already have a picture. It's like a little bean, you know. It's what it looks like, a little bean just growing inside of you. Little bean. And nothing. You know, and the doctor gets to look. I'm a nurse. I know something is seriously wrong. So that was the second miscarriage. And I had one more. After that, they said your fallopian tubes are very a lot of fibers and is causing problems, and at this point it's not recommended that you continue trying. And somehow it's devastating. We're now no longer going to have kids, but it's not our choice. And we hit this really rocky patch in our marriage. I think it's because as the woman, there's this expectation that I can bring life into the world, that I can grow a being inside my body. I've always, that's part of why I got into nursing. I've always thought that was amazing, incredible. We can grow beings. Men can't say that, they can't do that. Yeah. We have 3 dogs and 2 cats. We've sort of made up for the lack of children with dogs and cats and other animals. But I sort of fell into this depression. Took a month off work. Just mope around at home, cry. He brought home adoption pamphlets, I think children in China pamphlets, Romanian orphanage pamphlets. He pretty much was bringing home a pamphlet every day going, honey, so maybe we can have our own kids, but if you really want kids, we can get kids, you know, we can find children who need homes. And of course, I was like a wounded bear at this point. And I'm like, oh, if I want kids, so what, you don't want kids? And he's like, I am not going to be your scapegoat. I am not going to be the one that your anger is unleashed upon, okay? If you want to yell at me just to get it out, fine. But don't make me your scapegoat. It's one of the reasons I married him. He's a brilliant man. You know, and so this month goes by, and I'm just so sad. And I keep trying to change the sadness into something else, you know? I'm gonna take the sadness and I keep on trying and I'm trying. And I just can't. It's like I wake up and I am exhausted every day, even though I don't do anything. I'm exhausted. And one day there's a knock at the door. You know, and I sort of rouse myself out of my, you know, nap time stupor, and I'm sure I look like shit. And I open the door, and it's Katie. It's just this woman I delivered. It was a really difficult delivery. Her baby was breech. We actually ended up being able to turn him around, and she was able to deliver vaginally, which was amazing. And like, you know, it was very surprising to see her there. I mean, her son Ethan was probably 3 at that time. You know, and I mean, with your patients, you see a lot of them, of course, when they're pregnant. You see a good amount of them. I mean, I provide a lactation consultations, and I check in, make sure mom and baby are doing all right. But, you know, once the baby gets to be about 6 months, 9 months old, you don't really hear from them again. And I don't even know how she had heard, but she's there. She's got a bowl in one hand, and Ethan, yeah, they don't always get along so well, and Ethan in the other. You know, she's holding on to his hand. He's sort of toddling beside her. And at first, I can't even comprehend, because it's like, what is she doing here? And I just stare at her. She's like, hey, Mary. Like, hi, Katie. Hi, Ethan. And I'm like suddenly sort of conscious for the first time in like 3 weeks that I've not done anything to my hair, that I'm, you know, in these pajamas that I probably haven't washed in those 3 weeks, and sort of get a little self-conscious. She's like, hey, we're just here. You don't have to worry about any of that. We're just here because something told me you needed a friend. And she had chicken soup. That was what she brought in the bowl for me, and it was homemade. It was amazing. And she didn't ask anything of me. She just talked about Ethan, and how she was hoping to get pregnant again, and, you know, hoped I'd be her nurse midwife. then she started talking about how much of a difference that I had made for her. She said it was really terrifying when she found out she was pregnant. Her mother had died giving birth to her, and she had this sort of trauma surrounding it, and she just said, you know, I knew with you that everything was going to be okay. I felt so empowered and so loved. I know that sounds weird because I'm sure you don't love me, but you know, I just felt so taken care of with you. I wanted you to know that I've never forgotten that. I found out later she'd actually stopped by to say hello to me. And that's how she found out that I was not doing so well. You know, and it was so small. So small, but knowing that I made a difference, that I don't know, I was okay after that. You know, I spent the next week sort of getting ready to go back to work and putzing around and just reworking myself. Going, okay. So maybe I'm not meant to have kids. I don't know. But we can adopt, and we haven't decided anything yet about that. And all this just happened a year ago, so I'm just sort of slowly easing into any thoughts about what I might be interested in doing, and you know, talk to Brian about it. But it just was a kick in the pants, you know. Stop feeling sorry for myself. Stop focusing on what was going wrong and really seeing all the amazing things that were going right. I'm so grateful to her. So, who knows? Maybe Brian and I will decide to adopt. And maybe I'll just enjoy the babies, my babies that I get to take care of and watch fight and grow stronger.